Wildcard weekend was an absolute blast, and it's almost over. There's one game tonight, but I'm going to react to all of the previous games that were played this past weekend. Had a couple upsets, a couple crazy finishes, and then also some kind of disappointing games from a couple teams that were favored to win or the higher seed. So let's jump right into it. I'm going to start with the first game of the weekend. It was Rams at Panthers. Obviously, the Panthers were hosting. They were the higher seed just because they did win their division. Although the Rams were favored in this game by about 10.5 points. So it was definitely expected that the Rams would win. I figured the Rams would win. But I did not think they would win by more than 10.5, which was what the spread was going into the game. And it turns out they didn't. They won by 3. The Panthers actually had an opportunity to win this game late into the game as well. But the Rams offense played well, and they did sneak out the win. Matthew Stafford played great, 300 yards, 3 touchdowns. The running backs really didn't get going, although they did combine for a decent amount of yards on the ground. But really it came down to Puka and then Devontae Adams, 10 catches, 5 catches, 111 yards for Nakua, and a touchdown. He's just been an animal and really, really hard to stop for any opposing defense. So I am not going to be shocked if this continues throughout the playoffs. He's definitely dominant, and he's also probably in contention for wide receiver 1 in the NFL. Probably wide receiver 1 to start the season next year in fantasy. So that's exciting. The Panthers didn't play horrible, although Bryce Young just doesn't look clutch. He threw 40 passes, 21 completions, which isn't great. Did throw for 260 and a touchdown. He did get picked off once. Chuba Hubbard looked pretty good. Rico kind of got shut down in this one. 9 yards on the ground, 2 touchdowns for Chuba Hubbard. And then wide receivers, McMillan and Jalen Coker look to be outstanding wide receivers. 9 catches for Jalen Coker, 5 catches for Tet. And this could be a really, really great duo going into 2026 for the Panthers. They are both really young. I believe Coker was undrafted a year or two ago, and then McMillan was obviously a first-round pick for Carolina. If they believe in Bryce Young and they want to build around him and then these young receivers, I think they should make the playoffs next year and possibly go further than the first round. If they can build up around Bryce Young, he's not the kind of quarterback that I think is just going to completely dominate. He needs other pieces around him, especially defensively. Like, they're not going to win in a shootout versus the Rams in the playoffs. It's just not going to happen. So Rams win 34-31. The Panthers did cover in this one, though, so that's exciting for all the people who took the 10.5. It was just too many points in that one. And then I will move on to Packers at Bears, which was the Saturday night game. Another really, really fun, entertaining game. I actually didn't get to watch most of the game. I did see bits and pieces of it. But I from what I saw, it was really exciting. Bears come out on top, 31-27. I can't remember if the Bears were favored in this one, or I think Green Bay was favored by like 1.5, or vice versa. The Bears might have been favored by 1.5, but the line was pretty close to even money for both these teams. Jordan Love played really, really well, statistically at least. 323 passing yards, 4 touchdowns. Josh Jacobs, I was definitely expecting a bigger game from him. He only ran for 55 yards and did not score. I don't believe he scored he didn't score at all. All their touchdowns came through the air. I did have Jacobs over 71 yards for a player prop that obviously did not hit. I was expecting them to run more against the Bears, whose defense was a little more vulnerable to the run this year than the pass. But they kind of exposed the Bears secondary here. Dobbs, Golden, Reed, and Watson all with a receiving touchdown, which is pretty impressive. It's honestly kind of hard to figure out who's going to be the dominant receiver in this offense going into next year. I also don't know if I find it crazy that Matt LaFleur's job is up in question, but all the reports indicate that he might be on the way out. If he does get fired, he definitely will be the number one. In my opinion, he'll be the number one guy that I'd be looking for if I was hiring a head coach, right up there with, I guess, John Harbaugh. But they played pretty well. They just kind of got outscored late in the game. Green Bay even had a chance. They were up, I believe, by a touchdown or even more in the fourth quarter, and they just kind of let it slip away. Chicago scored 25 in the fourth quarter, and yeah, the Bears played really well when they needed to. Swift scored a touchdown. Williams did have 2 touchdowns passing. He did throw 2 interceptions in this one. Like I said, I didn't see most of the game. I saw bits and pieces, but statistically not a terrible performance from Caleb Williams. Colston Loveland is definitely hard to ignore in this Bears offense now. Like I was definitely higher on Tyler Warren in that rookie class, but Colston Loveland has really, really played well down the stretch. 8 receptions in this game, 137 yards receiving, 15 targets. And it's not like they don't have other guys. Like they have DJ Moore, Rome Odunze, Luther Burden has come on down the stretch. It's going to be interesting next year to see how this shakes out. I could even see them possibly moving on from a guy like DJ Moore, or I feel like Odunze is too young still, but Burden has looked really well. They have a good 4 receivers, including Loveland there, going into next season. And obviously they're still in it this season. So we'll have to see how things finish this season. They play, I don't know if they play Saturday or Sunday, but they look really well. Offense looks really good. Defense, on the other hand, they haven't looked the best. They've been giving up a ton of points. They gave up I think they gave up 40 to the 49ers a few weeks ago, 27 here to the Packers at home, and I believe they play the Rams now next week. So not a tough matchup. Rams are basically the top-ranked offense as far as scoring in 2025. So it's going to be a big test for their defense, especially their secondary covering Puka and Devontae Adams. But Bears do end up moving on to next week. The next game was on Sunday. Bills in Jacksonville. And the Bills just outplayed the Jags. Josh Allen played really well, didn't turn it over. Only threw for 1 touchdown, but did get over that I believe his over-under passing yards was like 220-ish. I did take that, and he cleared that easily. But 80% completion rate, which is awesome compared to all the other quarterbacks we looked at, even the ones who won. Caleb Williams was at 50. Bryce Young was at like 50. So Josh Allen played phenomenal. Did have 2 rushing touchdowns in this one. I kind of forgot he had 2 rushing touchdowns in this game. But that's really where they did most of their scoring. James Cook didn't even get going. I figured that he wouldn't have a great game. I probably should have taken the under for James Cook. Only 46 yards on the ground. And the Jags had the number 1 rush defense, so I figured he would have a rough time running the ball. But They didn't have a tough time throwing. Khalil Shakir, 12 receptions on 12 targets. So perfect on targets and receptions. And then he really spread the ball around to a bunch of other guys. Brandon Cooks, Knox, Kincaid, all with 3 catches. Bunch of different receivers getting involved in this one. And they just outplayed the Jags. Lawrence turned it over twice. Can't do that. 60% completion rate. You can kind of see where they lost this game. ETN did get going a little bit, and Bashal Tutin late in the game as well. Even Lawrence with 31 rushing yards. The Bills' defense, especially their rush defense, has definitely been exposed this season. And they're vulnerable to the ground game. Now, I think the Bills are going to be going into Denver to play the Broncos. That's going to be a tough matchup. Also in a tough environment in Denver. Another receiving core that'll be very fascinating to see what happens next season, especially in fantasy. Parker Washington has basically became their number 1 receiver in this offense. 7 catches in this one, 100 yards and a touchdown. When he's not on the field, I feel like Trevor Lawrence looks like he doesn't know what he wants to do with the football. Brian Thomas did catch a touchdown, but only 2 catches on 2 targets. Myers only 1 catch in this one. And then they have people are forgetting about Travis Hunter, who's going to be coming back from injury. So it's a loaded receiving core. I'm not even sure what they're going to do with Brian Thomas Jr. or Jacoby Myers, or Travis Hunter might just convert to a full defensive player. I'm not really sure what their plan is with him. But it'll be interesting to see what they do in the offseason, the Jags. And then moving on to the middle game on Sunday was 49ers at Philly. San Francisco did win this one, 23-19. Obviously, the Eagles were favored by, I think, 2.5, 3.5 points. So 49ers obviously covered, considering they won. Purdy kind of did what he had to do in this game. Did turn it over twice, but the Eagles' offense really couldn't capitalize off of those turnovers. Their offense really, really struggled. They lost Kittle, which is unfortunate going into the next round of the playoffs, and then obviously next season, his start to that season might be in jeopardy. So definitely have to watch and see what's going on with that. Christian McCaffrey, of course, was used as a receiver, 6 catches, 66 yards. Didn't really get much going on the ground, but when he's catching 6 passes and getting 66 yards receiving, doesn't really matter how effective he is in the run. Robinson, they weren't covering him. I'm not really sure what they were doing. 6 catches, 111 yards. He kind of came out of nowhere. Ricky Pearsall didn't play in this one. That's kind of why they didn't have many receiving options. It'll be interesting to see what they do in the next round, because if Pearsall can't play, they're really going to have to center their game plan around McCaffrey, like fully around McCaffrey. Juwan Jennings is okay. Jake Tungus is okay at tight end, filling in for Kittle, but they're not really impact players. So it will be interesting. I believe they're going to be playing. Who are they playing? The Rams will be playing. Rams are at Bears. Who am I missing? Steelers-Texans play tonight. Rams play at the Bears. Am I missing a game right now? Let me look at this schedule here. Oh, duh. Teams that got to bye, Denver and Seattle. So Seattle, 49ers will be going into Seattle and playing in that environment. That will be not a fun game for them. I think Sam Darnold could struggle against good secondaries and good defenses, but the 49ers are beat up, hurt, and probably are going to get taken advantage of by Sam Darnold. Sam Darnold, I think if he had to face a team that had a good defense, he could struggle, but that 49ers defense is not great. I think they're 25th ranked on the season in pass defense, so JSN should kind of cook in that one. But going back to the Niners-Eagles, the Eagles just couldn't get anything going offensively. Barkley did have 100 yards, didn't score though. Hurts, 1 touchdown, 168 yards. He can't throw. He can't throw the ball. Can't really throw the ball downfield that much. A.J. Brown, complete disaster. I think he had two big drops. 7 targets, only 3 catches. Devontae Smith actually played pretty well here. 8 catches on 11 targets, 70 yards. And then Goddard did score their lone touchdown passing. I guess Goddard got credit with a rushing touchdown too. But this offense is struggling, for sure struggling. So they're going to have to do some fixing in the offseason. Probably either fire the offensive coordinator or really rework how their play calling is offensively. Their defense looks phenomenal, but when you only score 19 points in a playoff game, it's hard to win. And then last game on Sunday was Chargers at Patriots, and the Chargers looked even worse than the Eagles offensively. They literally couldn't do anything. Herbert was getting just crushed, sacked 6 times, only threw for 159 yards, and they didn't do anything on the ground. Marion Hampton basically was playing hurt. He only carried one rush for -1 yards, and then Kamani Vidal only had 30 rushing yards for the Chargers. Herbert did scramble a couple times and pick up a few yards, but look at these receivers here. Ladd, Gadsden, Keenan Allen, Trey Harris, Quentin Johnson. None of them eclipsed even 35 receiving yards. I did have Ladd McConkey going under 41.5, which did hit. He struggled down the stretch. He also he doesn't get many targets, only 4 targets. Keenan Allen had 8 targets, dropped a couple big passes from Herbert, but he really didn't have much time, and when he did have time, he held the ball too much and just didn't make the right decisions. So Chargers score 3 points and lose just badly to the Patriots. On the other hand, for the Patriots, Drake May played pretty well. He didn't play as well as he did this regular season. I think he probably was a little nervous, first career playoff start, but he did throw for 268, did throw a touchdown. He did have a fumble, 2 fumbles, and he did throw an interception, but he got sacked 5 times too. Herbert got sacked 6. I feel like Herbert just was holding on to the ball too much. Both the quarterbacks kind of got out of the pocket and scrambled for a little bit. 66 yards for Drake May. Stevenson played really well too. He was leading receiver as far as yardage goes, 75 receiving yards and 53 rushing yards. Henderson only had 1 less attempt rushing than Stevenson, but Ramondre Stevenson, I feel like just for that game specifically, looked more efficient running the ball. And then wide receivers really spread it out. Henry caught a touchdown, the only touchdown of the game, I believe. And then obviously Stevenson had 1 huge catch, 48 yards. Kayshon Boutte had a good game, 4 catches, 66 yards. Diggs really didn't have much of a say in the outcome, but he's a great decoy, especially over the middle. Have to put a guy or two on him, so that really works out well for the Patriots. I think they are going to be hosting the winner of the Texans-Steelers, which probably is the best draw for them going into the next round. So if I were the Patriots, I'd be pretty thrilled about that. Probably looking for the Steelers to win tonight. But if they continue to play like this, they're gonna have trouble once they face some better offenses, because I think their defense is actually not that great. They played pretty well against the Chargers, but they got a lot of pressure, which is why they only held them to 3 points. I think if they have to face a better team offensively and specifically on the offensive line, I think it could get tough for New England. So I'd watch that in their next game. Like the Texans, if they have to play the Texans number 1 ranked defense. Their offense isn't awesome, but their defense is so good that it'll be tough to score, tough to win that game. It is going to be at home for them, so that is a big advantage. And then the last game is tonight, Texans-Steelers. This is in Pittsburgh, and I am expecting the Texans to win this game, just solely because of their defense. I think it probably should be a low-scoring game. I do have a parlay for tonight, and I am going to stream the game tonight, which is going to be fun and interesting. Just because I'll be kind of sweating out the bet. I have Texans to win, and then I also have Nico Collins over his yardage. I think it's like 70, and then Rodgers to throw under 2 passing touchdowns. So that's going to be fun, exciting. I'll probably start the stream right around the start of the game tonight. But just like looking at these teams here, like both these teams offensively are not that great. The defense, though, for the Texans is really, really good. The Steelers have TJ Watt on defense. That's pretty much it. They have a bunch of older players. I think CJ Stroud is going to play pretty well. Their secondary isn't that great either. And there's not any crazy injuries for either team, I don't believe. So that'll be fun. That'll be tonight. Start that stream up probably around game time. And then, it'll be fun to watch. But that pretty much wraps up the Wildcard games. I do have player props for tonight, and then also the parlay as well. So head over to my Twitter. It should be it's just No Inclined Bets on Twitter. If you're just seeing this on YouTube, and then I do use Underdog, but you can use whatever betting service you want. And like I said, it's Texans money line, Nico over yardage, and then Rodgers under passing touchdowns. Just because he really hasn't done that well. Only 2 touchdowns in one of his past 5 games. And it's not like he was playing any crazy defenses. Baltimore twice. Only one he got 2 touchdowns was against Miami at home. And then Detroit and Cleveland. So I think the parlay looks pretty nice. But anyways, that'll wrap up for the wildcard games. And then we just have the stream tonight for Texans Steelers. That should be exciting. So I'll see you then. Hit the like button, hit the sub button. I'll have player props and game previews for the divisional round as well. That'll be later this week, probably Thursday or Friday with those. But super excited for all the games and game tonight. I'll probably post it on Twitter, but be streaming on this account for that game. So look forward to that. Have a great night. Hopefully these bets come through.